Hello everybody, today I have the pleasure to propose to you this key 68, chapter 3, part 3, entitled Science and Spirituality, a possible love story and or an impossible love story. This is up to you to decide, and according to what we saw previously and what we're gonna see in this video and in the next one, in the last one. Well, concretely, once again, this is a holistic approach, meaning thereby that this is supposed to integrate the old parameters and try to enlarge our perspective and not to have a binary vision, that's to say a dualist. You're right, they are wrong, and vice versa. Okay, there is no two different camps, spirituality and science, sorry. There are different schools, different perspective, different methodology, different protocols, different perception, sensitivity, and also different people. Okay, this is really important. The absolute truth is the sum of the relative truth. Okay, very, very important. Everything is subjective. This is based on the theory, the Einstein theory of relativity. This is all what we saw previously. Okay, so concretely, we try to see if there is a potential love story, if it has been the case, if it's still the case, and if there is perspective of future. We saw that there was a honeymoon with history and in old culture prevalent and throughout the planet actually, and we saw that it was normal. Okay, science and spirituality were, let's say, collaborating in different ways almost everywhere on the planet, except at a period of divorce, in a certain extent, split, which is Inquisition. Okay, and after that, science has been really threatened, has been traumatized, and after a while, it has been unbalanced as well in the notion of pure scientists. That's the perspective, that to say scientism is the fact to exclusively see with your eyes and to have a certain proselytism in the sense of faith is just like for goats, sheep, and for stupid people. So the goal is really to establish a kind of balance and also to try to see some similarities, eventually some complementarities. So today we're gonna see something extremely important for me. There are links, interface between both aspects. Okay, even once again, I insist, there is no two camps. It's not science versus spirituality. Is not that at all. But there are especially four themes, four topics, four pillars which stand for let's say bridges between both. The first one is nature, and why I precise this is because it can be through these four pillars, it can be a springboard for step by step to, for helping someone to enlarge his or her consciousness. Okay, very strict scientist, materialistic, just Saint Thomas, and just believing in what he can see physically with his eyes or her eyes. It's a way to progressively, eventually, to open up the door to something new with an enlargement of consciousness, and vice versa. It means that also through this theme, it can allow some spiritual people to do some more research or to have some more cultures, to use also science for let's say for enriching their faith, and not blind faith, but okay, from the heart, like love at first sight, and in parallel of that, constructive and rational faith due to some, and due to some discovery, some facts, some facts. Okay, so the first one is nature. Okay, nature. Why is so important, and a link between science, which can be a perspective of spirituality and also a perspective of science. But this is simple. Nature, when you take astronomy, the observation of the stars, the universe, and so on, botany, okay, biology, the cells, the human beings, the organs, and so on and so forth. This is true that the more you search, the more you find, and thereby the more you have some elements for which you say to yourself, wow, it's really well done, okay, well established, well balanced, and so on. So this is based on what Voltaire, the French philosopher, said 3.5 centuries ago. He said, the universe embraced me, and I cannot imagine that this clock exists and there is no watchmaker. Okay, so it means that for him there is necessarily a hidden will beyond, and which is expressing the desire of the conatus from Spinoza, that to say, to maintain life, okay, to preserve life and to expand life as well, life. And but there is a spark, a desire, a will. This is for him really important, and there is such an orchestration that it cannot be, according to him, the fruit of let's say luck. Okay, so just one element. The first one is etymologically speaking, cosmos. Okay, the universe in Greek means literally, cosmos means order. Okay, so order, what does it mean? It means that there is a special arrangement, okay, previously established with desire, will, we don't know, but at least with a certain degree and fine-tuning, allowing the stance and the existence of let's say the world. You know, there is very few chances that life is possible on Earth. For instance, you know, there is essentially four forces, okay, weak and strong nuclear force, gravity, and electromagnetism. Okay, 4 forces. If just to change a little detail within the equations, alchemy of all this, and we would have been to burn or let's say frozen and so on, and life would have not been possible on Earth. If you want some statistic and some probability, the contingencies for life is possible on Earth, okay, is 10 power 60. Okay, so you imagine the number of 0, it's even impossible to consider, to visualize that. If you are more, let's say, you prefer an allegory, or at least an image, it would be to target, okay, to target just a small 1 centimeter by centimeter, a target of 1 centimeter by centimeter from a distance of 14 billions of light years. So, you know, in a certain extent, it's like another metaphor is like putting a bomb in you know, a printing shop. Okay, so there is a machine for typing and so on. And just you put a bomb, and after this, okay, this explosion, you can see an amazing library with department, with incredible books, with chapters, with theme, with paragraph, and so on, and everything is in a proper order. So this is the fruit of, we could compare the reality of our life, and if we realize that it's only by luck. Okay, it would be also like putting on the floor, and there's a metaphor, different components of a plane, and over let's say 10 or 20 different kilometers, and for which there is a tornado. Okay, so separately, of course, a tornado putting together. Okay, and at the arrival you would have an amazing plane for flying to other places. Okay, so, and this actually it's kind of let's say, if I can afford saying, funny, because once again, I like to say chance is either very precise and or very lucky, and also repeatedly over the time. So it's like if you have the lucky draw like 100 times in a row, there is really small, there is very small probability. So I do agree, it doesn't mean, it's not a theorem, it's not a protocol of science and so on. It doesn't mean that this is sure that there is a desire behind that, there is a creator, God, and so on, will. I do agree. But the chances are so small that, once again, I repeat myself, we can say that chance is very precise and or very lucky. You know, I like this sentence from Einstein, saying, anyone who is seriously involved in the progress of science becomes aware of the manifest presence of a spirit far superior to that of man, in front of which, with our modest faculties, we must feel humble. Okay, so this is interesting because for him there is so many incredible phenomena, then it's difficult not to think about a superior power in a certain extent, a will, and so on. This is also what Max Planck say differently. We must assume the existence of a subtle and invisible intelligence and conscious about universe. He say that. So once again, we must assume. It doesn't mean it's completely sure. But when you think that Einstein plus Max Planck, Nobel Prize of Physics, 1918. Maybe they know a little bit about science, and apparently they are not completely ignorant, let's say. So nature is really important, is a springboard, is like the more you study botany, the cells of human beings, the DNA, this is like a universe inside. Do you give any directions, any orders, any recommendation to your cells and so on? There is billions and billions and billions. It's like a universe. So there is something, when you analyze the mythos, the mayos and so on, and the early principle of nature, when there is a multiplication like fractals and so on, this is just incredible. A cell has a consciousness, is conscious. So how come? Okay, this is all this. I swear to you, the more you study, and the more it's difficult not to believe anymore, because it's so well done. A human being, a nature, when you know the organization of the connection with the let's say the ecosystem, the whole balance of the communication with the roots between trees and so on, it's just fabulous, is amazing. And that's why a lot of esoteric currents invite the believers to study more science, because it allows in nature, through science, because it's allowed to be closer to a kind of transcendence, literally. Second very important theme is energy. Okay, energy is invisible. Nobody saw electricity in real. You can just see the effect. If you're, you can just see the effect, but not physically. So energy, but we can go even further. energy, we can talk about the fifth element, okay? It's present and prevalent in Asia, in Buddhism, in Hinduism and so on, in Asian philosophy, Taoism and so on, which is, fifth element is Qi, for Qigong, Tai Chi for Chinese, and by the way, in Mandarin, Qi means literally energy, basically. Ki for right ki, for Japanese, is the same principle. Prana for Hindus and so on. It exists in Western culture with Greek, ancient Greek philosophy with ether, E-T-H-E-R, alright? So, I'm more talking about this subtle energy that, let's say, embrace, interconnect everything to everything, okay? So, by the way, that's why also, this is more and more known, this quote from Nikola Tesla, a great scientist from previous century. He say, if you want to know the secret of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay, so for him, we could summarize everything to this three different aspects, which is very similar. Frequencies, vibration and energy are roughly the same. Okay, once again, Max Planck, one of the pilgrim, let's say father of the mechanics quantique, he said the same, I mean slightly differently. All matters come from a force and exist only by it. We must assume the existence under this force of a conscious and intelligent spirit. This spirit is the matrix of all matter. Okay, so this is what I said before. We must assume the existence under this force of a conscious and intelligent spirit. What does it mean literally? There is an energy encompassing the universe and with a certain desire, a will to preserve life and to expand life, okay? To let's say, yeah, to expand, to spread further and further, and yeah. So this is quite interesting quotes. Einstein say, what you have called matter is energy, the vibration of which has been greatly reduced in order to be perceptible to our senses. There is no matter. He concludes like this: there is no matter. Okay, so concretely, what is tangible, whatever, table, computer, and so on, this is just density. This is only energy with, let's say, low vibration. I mean, density basically is not negative and low vibration. But so it means that the paradigm focusing on only materialistic vision is wrong in a certain extent, and it's open more the notion of that's why it is for me extremely important to think about this notion of energy. For me, an exclusive materialistic society is now even more than a nonsense. Basically, it's not criticizing for pleasure, it's just a matter of fact. In addition, I would like to quote Jean-Émile Charron is a French physicist and also philosopher, matching both aspects. He says, in the universe, every atom is connected to every other atom through the substance, spirit, of antimatter. And every knowledge is potentially accessible to every atom of the universe. Why is so important? Because we are made of atoms. And what is explained here is the principle of entanglement, the quantic entanglements, is the fact that if a matter has been connected, the vibration of these atoms are linked already. So it means that there is no space-time in a certain extent. To show you an example, if you separate atoms, okay, and you are at the, I don't know, 10 billions light years, okay, if you stimulate this one, immediately, instantly, the second one will be, will change, I mean, will have the same effect. Okay, so why is so important? It's not conceptual. It means that we have access to, when he depicts that, it's kind of collective unconsciousness and thinking, and or Akashic record, whatever the terminology. The first word in Hebrew in the Genesis is Bereshit. Bereshit means, literally, it means frame. I mean, it's more than frame, but it's kind of common thread, like warp and web, you know. It's a kind of common thread, which is concretely the explanation of the common thread, that to say the fifth elements, encompassing and crossing, I mean, entangling, interconnecting, and crossing everything to everything. Okay, so that's really important, and this is almost what the physicists discovered this last decades, that there is a kind of grid on which there is also some eventually some movement regarding the mass and so on. Conatus is a technical term, especially in philosophy and from Spinoza, which means this is a principle for which life is maintaining, okay, itself. It means that with this will to maintain, and beyond of that to express and to expand. Okay, so that's really interesting, because this is also the reason why you cannot stop breathing. Okay, you cannot and you die. You suicide like this is impossible. Okay, because there is a kind of hidden will to preserve. The third pillar of this notion of bridge between religion, I mean spirituality, sorry, and science is creativity and intuition. Where do our thoughts is coming concretely? That's the key question. Okay, what's creativity means to pick up, okay, from a tree, or almost. Intuit means to, it's kind of inner gazing. So in both aspects is a kind of magnetism, intuition, okay, referring to the key 38 and 39 respectively, intuition and creativity. So this is interesting, because this, when we discover something, literally discover, you take out the cover of something existing. It doesn't mean that it exists because you discover it. It was there and you discover it. Even further, when scientists discover something, okay, you take it out the cover, we understood. If you understand or you are explained about the principle, you activate some synapse with two neurons, like connection. Okay, you understood. But it means that previously it was prepared and present. Okay, you understand the principle. This is quite concerning, let's say. So where are these thoughts coming from? Okay, so this is the key question, and so people say Plato, word of idea, according to Greek philosophy, from collective unthinking, collective unconsciousness, with psychoanalysis, with morphic fields, with the British professor and biologist Rupert Sheldrake. Okay, so let's come back to psychoanalysis. But let's say that all this terminology, Akashic record and so on, this is different terms, synonyms to express the same feeling. Okay, so Carl Jung, for me, the father of psychoanalysis, say, in addition to our immediate consciousness, which is of a completely personal fact, there is a second physic system of a collective, universal and impersonal nature, which is identical in all individuals. What does it mean? It means that, to make it short, it's like your consciousness is your computer. or your electronic device like your mobile phone. Okay, and your capacity to be connected to your inner self, your higher self, your unconsciousness, and thereby the collective unthinking. This is the Wi-Fi. Okay, it's like when you type on your computer the website of something. If you check the website and there is an elephant or I don't know a tiger, they are not in your computer, right? They are just retranscripting some code, some data, basically. But thanks to your good connection or reconnection. So we could do a parallel, by the way. So to go further, there is a very interesting scientist, not very known. Initially, he's a biologist also from Hungary. Is Laszlo, Victor Laszlo, yeah. He's really an expert of Akashic record. And he talks a lot and he explains quite well about the quantum void, let's say the vacuum, the quantum vacuum, for which it is filled and full of potential. But this is also the theory of Nassim Haramein and so on and so forth. Well, the last one regarding this bridge between science and spirituality is consciousness. Okay, consciousness. The small consciousness and the big consciousness. We talk about that in the key 18, but it's extremely interesting. Why? Because even this term is taboo in science, is forbidden almost. Consciousness, like soul, it's even, you will never see any word, consciousness or soul, in an official academic paper, article, published officially. Why? Because it's, let's say, it's not tangible, so it's not factual, but this is the same principle for me of energy. We cannot see energy, we cannot see consciousness. Okay, does it mean that it doesn't exist? Question mark. So, but anyway, this is something interesting, and probably, I mean, it's not probably, in the new paradigm, in the new perspective of science, it's evolving. Okay, so it's taking time, but it's evolving. Victor Hugo, French writer, said the following: consciousness is God present in man. Okay, man, human, let's say. That's really beautiful. Okay, so it shows that he was, let's say, an artist, a philosopher, I mean, a thinker, and he was a believer also. So Schrödinger, one of the pillar of quantum mechanics, and he has been taught by Vedanta, and the Hindu mystic. He said the multiplicity, we perceive is only an appearance. In truth, there is only one mind. Okay, so for him, our consciousness is just a fragment of the consciousness. Okay, this is what we explain in the key 18. Concretely, yeah, this is what I explained before. There is consciousness within each of ourselves, and each bacteria and so on, from human beings, but also for animals and also for vegetable and so on, they have their own consciousness. So, I mean, they are not talking, they don't have the same language, there is codification and so on, but it's kind of it's astonishing. It's kind of miracle. I wanted to talk also about David Bohm. David Bohm is a great scientist. Einstein was admire him a lot, actually. And he say nature has meaning and therefore consciousness, even at the level of the electron. This consciousness is everywhere and in all things. So you see, all this are, let's say, combining in the same direction. You know, it's all this vision of consciousness. There is something beyond, and which is connected each other. And this is, let's say, I think it's allows you also to feel less lonely in a certain extent. I could have talked about also regarding consciousness at a certain degree of the synchronization of the metronomes. Okay, sometimes they are not connected, and suddenly after a while, you can see on the internet some experience, they are connected. Okay, so they are all balancing in the same. They didn't discuss, and nobody programmed them for this. Okay, so this is really interesting. Well, actually, I would like to quote for the last time Einstein, who say, "I don't think it's absolutely necessary for science and religion to be antithetical. In fact, I think there is a very close connection between the two. And I think science without religion is unbalanced, mangled. They are both important and should work hand in hand. It seems that anyone who doesn't question the question of truth in religion and science might as well as be dead." This is interesting perspective, because he really does a work of combining. Okay, he really tried to concede and to try to evoke the fact that both are mutual complementarity. And this is for me extremely important, because indeed this is what I aspire, but not recently. It's since I'm almost kid and teenager. I always had this feeling that it could be possible, and in the future it will be possible, that more and more some workshop and so on, some evolution are starting with that, with hand, let's say, from both sides, in the sense of more crossing information and so on, because it's a question of perspective and possibly also a question of enrichment. Well, I hope that it will help you to shape your master key to open up the door of consciousness, love, whatever you want. As you know, all the roads lead to Rome, and to the Dome, and to home. Thank you for your attention, and see you very soon.